Bonjour YouTube! In today's video, I'm gonna give you all my best tips for the fighting event that is currently going on in Genshin Impact. I know a lot of people have been complaining because it's pretty difficult. Lots of restrictions with the boss, with the enemies, with the timings and stuff like that. So in today's video, I hope I can help you at least get the name card. I'm not gonna give you tips to get to floor 25 in this video, alright? I'm really just focusing on helping people get the name card, so get at least floor 20. And yeah, I don't really care too much about higher than that. It's going to be the scaling, the HP scaling from floor 20 to 25 is just absurd. Most people are not even going to be able to get to this unless they have the perfect character for the perfect day. So yeah, I'm really just focusing on helping you get floor 20, clear floor 20, and I think most people can actually do it, even if it's not as easy as some people say as well. So first, I want to start by listing the points why this event can be difficult, why a lot of people are complaining about it. It is pretty difficult, honestly. Like, for a lot of people, it's going to be pretty difficult. But with the right gameplay, with the right tweaks on your characters and teams, it is definitely possible. So first, the buffs are very restrictive. Second thing, some enemies can be annoying. As I said earlier, like you got the Hydro character, the Hydro enemies here, so you can't really play a lot of things. Some enemies are really like moving a lot, like the Vishaps are hard to group. Some enemies can be very annoying. The Frost Operatives, they move a lot. The Eremites, they move a lot. If they summon their thing, they take 0 damage. So yeah, some of the restrictions are also coming from the enemies. You have very short time to kill the enemies. Only 30 seconds is not a lot, especially because some characters have very, very long cooldown. Like if you look at Shengling, for example, which is one of the most used character, Shengling's cooldown is 20 seconds on her burst. So if you start your rotation with her burst, you will barely get the time to use her burst again by the end of the timing. So it can be pretty tough in this regard. A lot of characters have like 15-20 seconds burst cooldown. So it can be a bit tricky. After that, there's also a cooldown in between the waves. So you have like around 5-10 seconds between each waves after you kill the wave, depending how much time you had left on the wave. Which means if you use an ability at the end of the run, at the end of the fight, it will just run out while you're waiting, which basically wasting most of the uptime on the ability. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. And last thing is they have a lot of HP, especially some stages, as I said earlier, like stage 5, the HP is freaking insane. Some of the stages also, like floor 19, starting floor 18, 19, the enemies have a lot of HP. And it can be tricky if your builds are not like insane, if you don't have super high investment in your characters, or if you don't have the perfect character for the day. I'll give you some reasons why I think you can also do it, even with all these restrictions and all the things I just mentioned. So first, if you have some friends who cleared floor 20 plus, they will give you a buff for the fight. So like when you enter the fight here, you will have a boon that will give you some attack, HP, EM, etc. So here, this thing here, it lasts for the whole duration of the challenge. So you can go from floor 15 to 25 with this buff. It's going to stay the whole time. You also get a buff to like a thing that restores your HP. And after a while, you also get a buff that refreshes your energy. So after you clear floor 12, you will get that buff that basically restores all your energy. So you can see my Bennett energy here. If I pick it up, boom. I get 50% back of my energy, so that's pretty good. That can help you if you didn't have enough energy in your team. Get it back so you're ready for the next floor. You can set up your rotations before the enemy spawns. So that's something really interesting, is that yes, you have time to wait between the waves, but it also means that you can set up your ability. So for example, here, if I don't even have to start yet, I can just Bennett Burst, Shengling Burst. I don't recommend doing that on floor 12 because the enemies are pretty weak, but yeah, I can do that. And then I'm saving some cooldowns. I'm basically saving some cooldowns, so I don't have to wait for my Shengling Burst. I only have 5 seconds left. Now here, I can start using Faruzan Burst before the enemy spawn. I can use Bennett Burst before the enemy spawn, and then I have all my abilities ready, and I got Shengling Burst back before the enemy spawns as well, so that's perfect. Oh my god. So yeah, keep that in mind. You can set up your abilities for characters that have very long cooldown like Shengling or some other characters. It is something pretty useful. You can use food, and food is one of the main thing in this one, is that it's going to give you a ton of damage. So here, if I go in my food thing, you can use pyro potion or like elemental damage potion. So here I'm using Heizo, Faruzan, Bennett, Shengling. Like if I want my Shengling to do more damage, boom. You can use food that gives you a tag, that gives you crit rate. I don't have too many foods here, but like yeah, like you can use plus 300 attack and 10% crit rate, Adeptus Temptation that gives you a bit more as well. So yeah, you can get a lot of extra damage with this. Sometimes if you're missing like 2-3 seconds with your clear, just adding food and you're basically free. You can skip floors, and skipping floors can be very helpful, especially because some floors can be very annoying. Like the enemies, as I said earlier, can be difficult to group. They have a lot of HP. They take 0 damage or something like that. So skipping the floors that you want to skip is going to be a good strategy to get where you want to get. So just so I can explain real quick how you skip the stages. So if you click here, you can see that you can skip up to 4 stages at once, but the higher you go, the lower the amount of stages you can skip. You can skip up to 5 floors actually. So at floor 12, if you're on floor 12 before floor 14, you can skip up to 5 stages. So if you clear the room in 25 seconds left on the timer, you will go from floor 12 to floor 18 straight up instantly. If I clear with 25 seconds remaining on the timer, I will go straight to floor 18. So here I'm floor 12 and I'm gonna get straight up to floor 18. So it helps me skip a lot of time, not waste my, if I have my energy back. I don't have my energy back here, but just it was just for the example. Now floor 18 can be really difficult and you might want to skip floor 18, right? So one thing that you can do to skip floor 18 is that you don't go too fast on the previous floors. So let's say you take like 10 or 15 seconds on floor 12. So you're going to get to floor 16 or 17. And then on floor 17, you want to go as fast as possible to skip floor 18 and get to floor 19. Or if floor 19 is too difficult, you do the same strategy on floor 18 to skip the floor 19. One thing to keep in mind is, as I said earlier, the higher floors you get, the lower the amount of floors you can skip. So once you get to floor 17, you can only skip 1 stage at a time, all right? So let's say you clear floor 17 with 12 seconds left on the timer. It means you will skip floor 18, so you will get to floor 19. If you're on floor 18, same thing. If you're on floor 19, same thing. Up to floor 22, you can still skip 1 chamber. So if you're on floor 21 and you clear it with 12 seconds remaining, you will get to floor 23 straight up. It's really hard to clear up floor 20 plus with 12 seconds remaining. But on the other hand, floor 17 is doable to clear with 12 seconds remaining. Floor 18 can be doable as well, depending the stages and the teams that you have. And yeah, that's basically it. So the faster you go, the more floors you can clear. But what really matters is starting floor 16, 17. Because before that, they really don't have that much HP. And let's say you're on floor 16 and you clear with 16 seconds left, you will get straight to floor 19 as well. Now, one more thing is that the timer on floor 20 does not matter, all right? So once you clear floor 19 with the time, within the 30 seconds, it doesn't matter how much time you take on floor 20. The enemies are going to stay there, and you just need to clear the floor to get the name card reward, which it's not really that hard. I mean, you have infinite time, so you just take your time, don't die, and then it's basically free, all right? So you see the timer will run out here, and I'm still going to be able to continue the chamber. Boom. Timer ran out. Okay, I need to not die now. Let me get my stuff. And then here I clear, and it counts floor 20 clear. All right, challenge completed. I got my platinum medal, and then GG. So the time on floor 20 doesn't matter. What matters is going to be floor 19, 18, 17 that are a little bit tricky. Okay, so now that I got that out of the way, let's get over stage 1 tips. So first, it's going to be a Nightland character buff, Nightland DPS buff. So Mawika Kinich, Walani are going to perform pretty well in this stage. They will gain a ton of damage. And yeah, Mawika is just going to obliterate that one. Walani works great. Kinich can work pretty well as well. Gotta be careful with the grouping and the interruption for Kinich and Walani, but overall they still work fine. Other characters that can work pretty well, as I said earlier, Arlecchino is gonna be just fine on this stage, whatever team you play, honestly. Neuvillette is really not that bad as well here. They have some like pyro enemies as well. And stuff like that. So Neuvillette overall is going to be nice and can kind of ignore the need of grouping the enemies because of his AoE. And to get to floor 20, the DPS check is not insane, especially if you have his premium team. And then finally, you can do it with a reverse Mel Rosaria team with Bennett Shengling or national team, something like that. So for example, this is the team I used personally. Yeah, this team works pretty good. If you can also do it with Xingqiu. Don't forget to use the food as always, and yeah, it's doable. It is a bit difficult, of course, if you don't have that line character, but it's doable. My main tip for this stage 1 is going to be for floor 19. I would really recommend getting to floor 19 and not skipping it, because it's basically gonna be the easiest stage to clear, actually, because it doesn't matter how much damage you have for floor 19. The enemies are very easy because you just need to apply a ton of pyro. So here, you see these guys, they have a gauge at the top of their name. You just need to apply a ton of pyro, and then that's how you clear them with this team. You want to do normal charge attack with Sucrose to be able to kill them fast. And yeah, you just apply as much pyro as possible. The swirls are gonna do a pretty good job. I played pretty bad, but as you can see, that's enough here. Pretty chill. I played bad and I still managed to get it. It was close, but yeah. So that's basically how you do that one. Try to skip floor 15 because 17 and 18 on this one are a little bit annoying. If you really don't have a lot of teams available as well. But other than that, it's probably one of the easiest stages of this event. Now, for stage 2, we got a Melt and Vaporize damage buff. So Mawika and Arlecchino once again are going to pop off. Also, as I said earlier, the enemies are all Hydro infused permanently. So you can't play any Hydro character or Cryo character to really do like big reactions. So you can really only play Pyro here. If you don't have Arlecchino or Mawika, I tried other Pyro teams with Deya Monopyro, Line Monopyro also works pretty good. If you have a very big Diluc with C6, can work fine. Klee potentially, if she's really high investment, not really sure about that one. But yeah, and with 4 stars only, I was struggling a little bit, but Overload was potentially clearing it as well with Bennett Shengling, Fischl, Chevreuse. And you could also do Overload Raiden with Raiden, Bennett, Shengling, and then Chevreuse, or Overload Chlorane or something like that. That can potentially work. Shengling will deal a ton of damage in the stage, but you're very restricted to basically Pyro because of those Hydro enemies. Here, the enemies on floor 18, they're not too bad, but they have a lot of HP. So if you don't have like a very good Pyro DPS, that frog here is kind of annoying. Shouldn't be too bad if you can vape consistently, but yeah, with Arlecchino Mawika or a good Pyro DPS, it's more than fine. And so you can skip floor 19 and get straight to floor 20, because floor 19 is a little bit tricky. At floor 19, basically what you want to do is focus the guy next to the healing buff, because the other one is going to transform into the monster that is going to come closer to you. So you don't necessarily want to freeze them. For example, here I freeze them so he can't move. As you can see, this guy is going to transform like that, and he's going to come closer to you, and when the other one doesn't move as much. So it's better to stick next to the one that has the Hydro buff next to it. So they're going to group a little bit better. All right, now for stage 3, we have a swirl damage buff. Swirl damage increased by 1200%. And also increase the EM of your characters when you swirl. It's supposed to be a Mizuki stage, but I tried Mizuki and she wasn't that good, honestly. I managed to clear, but it was really close. I wouldn't really recommend using Mizuki here. honestly, even with 4 stars only, like Hazel, Faruzan works insanely good. But my favorite team that I played on this one was Kazuha with Fischl, Xingqiu, and then Sucrose. You get a lot of swirl, lots of damage from the swirls. Xingqiu, Fischl, pretty good AoE. Don't forget your food, and honestly, it works pretty well. It's still kind of close, but it works fine. But otherwise, of course, Mawika Alekino kind of destroys this one. Kazuo, Sucrose, Taser, my favorite team. Neuvillette can work pretty well. There's not really any enemies that are really bad for Neuvillette here, so he has pretty good AoE as well. You don't need grouping. Just bring Kazuha for some swell, and honestly, it's wrapped. Molly and Kinich are fine as well if you get some decent grouping on the Eremites and on the Bishops. It's kind of tough, but if you manage, it works just fine. And finally, yeah, this 4-star only team with Bennett, Hazel, Faruzan, I really liked it, and it's actually really good. Yes, they don't have EM and technically don't base their damage on swirl, but the buff is so big that it actually gives you enough damage increase on Anemo DPS that it still works. If you have a very good Wanderer, you could even use Wanderer, and it works pretty good. Chaska also is not bad in some of those days, but it's kind of weird with Chaska. Her cooldown and the fact that she's not super good on multi-targets, like she's not necessarily the best, but if you have a very good Chaska and a good team for her, she can work. For this stage, it's almost impossible to skip floor 19 because the enemies on floor 18 are way too tanky. They have so much HP, it's like you can't clear it in like fast enough. At least if you have like low investment character or like average character, I feel like it's really hard to clear it fast enough to skip floor 20, floor 29, floor 19, sorry. You'll see these guys here, they're really tanky. So I don't have anyone on 4 Vivi here, so my team doesn't do as much damage. But yeah, they have a lot of HP. It's really difficult. Without food, I cannot do it actually. Yeah, without food, I cannot do it here. I think with food, I was chill. If I go for Vivi on Faruzan, it's also pretty good. But yeah, see, they're really tanky, so it's really hard to skip for if you don't have like insane damage, or if you don't have the right teams for this. So yeah, I will give you some tips for floor 19 instead on how to position yourself and how to group the enemies. So now, when you're on floor 19, of course, you want to set up your things at the start. I didn't have Bennett energy here, so it's not that great. But you want to be on the side, so because they're gonna keep getting pushed, all right? So you want to group them with Hazel, you want to group them with Faruzan, and then you want to do as many normal end charge attacks as you can with Hazel to get those swirl procs. And yeah. Also, one thing to keep in mind overall in this challenge is to have enough energy on your characters. So here, my Bennett energy is kind of bad, so I don't... And I didn't have a Nemo food either, so I can't clear right now because I don't have a Nemo food. But yeah, make sure you got enough energy on everyone because the rotations are very short. And as you can see, like I was 5-6 seconds off. If I had a Nemo food, I think that would have been fine. I did it before, but like I just didn't have the food anymore because this testing in this event has literally took all my materials for food. It's a nightmare. But yeah, make sure you do those normal attacks. Make sure you position yourself on the side, and then it shouldn't be that bad, honestly. All right, stage 4. When you receive healing or when you obtain Bond of Life, you increase your attack by 100%. As you can see, Arlecchino is going to shine perfectly in this one. It's basically made for her. Even the enemies are pretty good for her overall, so Arlecchino is going to destroy this side. If you don't have Arlecchino, Mawika, of course. Neuvillette is actually not too bad. There's no enemies with Hydro Res. Really, and he has good AoE, so he's gonna perform pretty well, especially if you have Kazuha and Farina with him. Kinich, if you manage to get good grouping, is also pretty good. Malani as well. Just gotta be careful with not being interrupted and stuff like that by the enemies. And some 4-star teams can work, but you really need super high investment. And you also need an off-field healing character, So some people have been using, for example, like Sucrose with Prototype Ember or Hazel with Prototype Ember to benefit from the buff if you can't get Bone of Life or a lot of healing, because Bennett can be sometimes not enough because you can't heal everyone all the time. So yeah, Prototype Ember or some off-field healing can be useful. But yeah, otherwise it's a pretty tough one. I would say, like, without 5-star DPS, it's gonna be a bit difficult. But in this one, in terms of gameplay, floor 17 and 18 are very difficult. So if you're able to, I would highly recommend trying to clear floor 16 with 16 seconds left. So you're able to skip both 17 and 18. So here, floor 17, those two Eremites, they're pretty tanky, and also if you're not able to kill them fast, they summon their monsters. They summon their monsters and then they take very low damage. Sorry, that was kind of weird explanation because my Arlecchino destroyed them. But like, yeah, they summon their monsters, their animals, and then they take very low damage. So if you're not able to kill them very fast, it's going to be annoying. So if you can skip floor 17, it's nice. Same thing for floor 18. As you can see here, I will show you. These guys, they move a lot. Look, if I stay in the middle, they're gonna dash and stuff, and like the Electro one is gonna dash like pretty far. If you just fight all the time, so, and they move a lot, they proc overload on you and stuff like that. So the Electro one can move quite far as well. So it's kind of a weird one. If you have good AoE, it's fine, but if you're struggling with the grouping, this is gonna be tough. And then for 19, those two factory operatives are honestly not too bad. Once again, yes, you need the grouping, but it's really not that bad. If you stick to the Anemo one, the Cryo one is gonna dash on you, so at least at the start of the fight. So it's a pretty good thing to stick to the Anemo one, at least at the start of the fight. Now we are finally on stage 5. We get Night Soul Burst buff again. So if you have any characters like Shiloh, Silali, Oron, Mawika, it's gonna be insane. Mwalani, Kinich as well. They're gonna get so much stats. It's pretty insane. You don't necessarily need a Nadlan DPS like stage 1. You just need at least 1 or 2 Nadlan characters in your team, because when you trigger the Night Soul Burst, you will gain the buff, and so it doesn't have to be like your DPS. It's not your DPS that will get the buff. It's your whole team that's gonna get the buff. Whoever procs the buff. So here, if you don't have any 5-star Nadlan characters, Oron, if you manage to grab 1 copy, is going to be very good. Otherwise, Kachina can still be an option. In my opinion, this stage is really good if you really don't use a single Nadlan character. It's really difficult if you don't use a single Nadlan character. So yeah, I would highly recommend, even if your Kachina is only like level 70 or 60, or if she's low level, at least try to build her in the next 1 or 2 days after the release of this video, because there should be still 4 or 5 days left for the event after I post this video. So it should give you time to at least level up your Kachina a little bit, give her some random scroll artifacts, and then you will be able to get the buff as well. So in terms of teams, Mawika is going to perform super good. Kinich, Arlecchino once again works pretty well, and as I said, try to bring Kachina for your Arlecchino, or you can do Vape with Xingqiu and Oron. Neuvillette, Mwalani are going to work pretty good if you manage to skip floor 19, because these guys here have hydro resistance. So Neuvillette and Mwalani are not going to be very good here, but if you're able to skip this floor by clearing floor 18 with 12 seconds left, it should be fine. And then Oron, Shengling, Xingqiu, Sucrose, Sash, Kazuha are going to be also pretty good, especially to take care of the floor 18, because these guys are kind of annoying. Oron Taunt is going to be very useful. And then finally, most teams overall in this chamber are going to have enough damage if you have a Shilonen or Silali. Just Shilonen alone should be enough, honestly, to provide enough damage. But if you really don't have them, it's going to be pretty tough. And if your only Nadlan character is Kachina, you kind of want Arlecchino or like a very good DPS, or maybe like a big Navi or something like that to be able to clear, because it's going to be the amount of HP the enemies have in this stage is absurd, really. I will just quickly show you on floor 18 how to group the enemies with Auron. Okay, so you see you got these two enemies. You want to use Auron Burst at the start, so it's going to taunt the enemy because this flying guy and the other one are moving quite a bit. They have weird patterns, so you really want to be able to taunt them with Auron, and then they will stay grouped basically, and you can kill them with the rest of your team. Preferably with an AoE team. This team here is not really the best. This Hu Tao double Hydro is not really super good. But yeah, if you're able to do that, that's gonna be nice. If you're able to clear with 12 seconds left, it's even better. But I know it's pretty tough. It's only useful really to clear to skip 19 here if you're using a Hydro DPS, because this guy is like unkillable if you're using a Hydro DPS. Otherwise, with Auron, you can group the enemies pretty well. And it shouldn't be that bad, but they're still pretty tanky. And it can be a bit tricky to kill those fast enough. So if you're able to skip from 19, this is pretty good. Also, if you don't have Auron, you basically just want to be on the side of the Rune Drake. So the other one is going to come closer to you. And then try to get as much AoE out as possible so they don't go too far. Because that Rune Drake can go pretty far, honestly. And it can be pretty annoying. As you can see, single target teams are not good at all here. They have a lot of HP, and if you can't DPS all of them together, 2 rotations is going to be too slow. So you really want to make sure they stay grouped. That's why Neuvillette overall doesn't perform too bad, especially if you have Auron. And otherwise, yeah, Mawika, Alikino, of course. You can also do it. Some people did it with 4 stars only. It's really hard. You need a lot of investment in your 4 stars, but it is doable. For example, with Sukur Shengling, and then I think last one would be Xingqiu to get some to get Auron Night Soul Burst, and then very good AoE as well on the floor 18, for example. But yeah, overall it's pretty difficult. But still, if you have at least Auron or Kachina, you can still make it to floor 20. And honestly, I think that's pretty much it for this guide. I tried to go over every stage, give as many tips as I can in terms of gameplay and everything. So I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you managed to get the reward in the comments. Remember, if you have to remember at least like a few things from the video, you can use food. You can skip stages, so keep that in mind. And Alikino is the best. No, I'm joking, but like, yeah, make sure you use the food. Don't forget to use the food. Like, it makes it really easy. Try to skip the stages that you're struggling with. And yeah, look at the team recommendations that I put, the gameplay tips that are in this guide. And yeah, I hope this video was helpful. On Wednesday, I will be doing some event help. So if you didn't manage to clear after watching this video, feel free to join the stream on the Wednesday. What date? Wednesday the 5th. I will do it for viewers, as many as I can, to get to floor 20 and get you the name card. So feel free to join. Link to the stream and to the Discord in the description. And I'll see you on the next one. Au revoir.